Are you prepared to navigate today's bond markets for your clients? With decades of experience, MFS has helped advisors uncover fixed income investment opportunities through volatile markets. Learn more at mfs.com.
Is there any FFPC value in the new starting tight end in Cincinnati? How good will Kiki QT be going forward? And we play a Week 5 edition of Would You Rather with TJ Yeldon in Kansas City. Plus, the second-place team in the Footballguys Players Championship. Angelo Lilas hangs out with us to talk about his two top 20 teams, what he thinks about starting Chris Carson this weekend, and much more. We've got a great show for you. Dave Gerzak is here. I'm Eric Balkman. Stick around. Your high-stakes fantasy football hour starts now!
Hey, bro.
Broadcast live and heard around the world. You are now listening to the most entertaining hour of radio on the planet. It's the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour presented by MyFFPC.com with your hosts Eric Balkman and Dave Gerzak. The High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour is your home for football analysis from the best fantasy players in the world. And now, because no one else was available, here are Eric Balkman and Dave Gerzak.
Hey, thanks, Rob. Greetings and salutations, all of you Balkaholics and Gerzakinetics. Welcome to the latest episode of the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour, presented by MyFFPC.com. I am, of course, your slightly above average host, Eric Balkman, and my co-host is the patron saint of fantasy football, the Dizzle, Dave Gerzak. Coming up on tonight's show, what AFC South running back do you need to make sure is not available in any of your leagues? Whether Jamison Crowder is ready to finally put up a big number this week, and the second-place team owner in the 2018 Footballguys Players Championship, Angelo Lilas, joins us to discuss the fantasy prospects of George Kittle, whether Ronald Jones is going to be a difference maker at any point in 2018, and much, much more. Shout out to the chat room right now. Feel free to post any questions you might have in there. If you want to connect with us on Twitter, you can do so at HSFF Hour, at Eric Balkman, or at David Gerzak this evening. Facebook.com/HSFF Hour is where to get a hold of us there. And 347-426-3682, that's 347-GAME-OVA is the phone number if you want to chime in and give us a call tonight. HighStakesFantasyFootball@gmail.com is the email address that our producer and mutual friend Rob and our audio engineer Bryce will be checking. If you have any questions for us, send them into that email. Send them in via Twitter. Send them in via the chat room. And in our fantasy feedback segment in the second half of the show, we will do our best to get to all of them this evening. Check out blogtalkradio.com/high-stakes-lowdown right now for the brand new HSLD on RotoViz Radio with the mascot of the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour, Mr. Ron Meyer. Of course, 32nd overall heading into Week 4 of the Footballguys Players Championship, a winner of nearly $25,000. It was great to sit down and talk with him about some dynasty stuff, some redraft stuff, all great stuff with Two-Packer, blogtalkradio.com/high-stakes-lowdown. Dave, did you get a chance to check out the Two-Packer Slowdown this week?
No, not yet.
Some epic stuff on there, my friend.
I'm sure it's outstanding.
Really, really good stuff. So I'm very excited for everybody to give me their feedback on that. I know at Two-Packer is as well, and we've both been promoting it equally on Twitter, it seems like. So
I will check it out.
Check that out for sure. Let's get into tonight's guest. He is a 10-year high-stakes fantasy football player, the 2014 AFFL Silver Level champ, the 2016 FFWCOC champ, winner of countless leagues, and a 5-year Fantasy Football Players Championship veteran. He joins us this week to talk about his second place and 18th place teams in the 2018 Footballguys Players Championship. Please welcome into the show, Mr. Angelo Lilas. Angelo, thank you so much for coming on the show this evening, man.
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me on.
It's our pleasure, obviously. We will get into your fantasy football exploits. I know there's plenty of listeners in the chat room right now that want to pick your brain, that want to figure out how you built these dominant teams, how you've managed them to the top. But before we get to that, Angelo, tell the listeners what you do for a living.
Well, if you're from Chicago and you grew up on the south side, you know my restaurant. It's called Mickey's Hot Dogs, home of the big baby.
There you go. That's fantastic. I appreciate that quite a bit.
Too, while I was at it.
Mickey's Hot Dogs on the south side of Chicago.
All right, perfect.
I'm getting hungry.
And that, well,
I haven't eaten very much today.
I haven't either. I have not either. I had a few pretzels and I had well, I won't get into it what I had, but when I got back. But anyway, let's get into the fantasy.
I don't have any hot dog questions, so.
I don't have any either.
Something that I can annoy people with.
I listen.
You have the original. There's the Chicago dogs are different than like other people. You don't put ketchup on them or anything. Is that right? Or how do you guys serve them up?
No ketchup. No ketchup. People here will crucify you if they find you putting ketchup on a hot dog. I'm not even serious. People take it serious. They do. They take it serious over here.
And the bun is different. The bun has like a little. What kind of bun is it?
Usually, well, it depends where you go, but they usually toss on some poppy seeds. I don't have that at my place because those poppy seeds they're all over the place, man. Trying to clean those up.
Plus, then you test positive for opium.
Yeah, well, you don't want that. I always love the Chicago dog.
I don't need a bunch of failed drug tests.
No, absolutely not. No, like where you get the peppers on it, the tomatoes and everything. Oh, that's so good, fantastic, really,
celery salt.
Yeah, the celery salt. That's what makes it. We were just talking about celery salt today, dude. Yeah, celery salt makes everything better.
All right, anyway, let's fantasy a little bit, I guess. All right, nearly to the top of the heap in the Football Guys Players Championship. You started with Alvin Kamara in the first and Christian McCaffrey in the second. Awesome picks. Kind of tough to get those picks at certain points, but you did a good job. How many of your squads this year ended up with either or both of those backs? In general, I mean, it's a tough combo to get. Just one team, or did you get that in more than one?
No, actually in FFPC, I pulled it off on 3 teams. So I'm very fortunate on those 3 teams because they're all undefeated so far and they're all doing very well. I took McCaffrey on 10 of my teams and and Kamara on 6 of them altogether. So
and the thing that's funny about that is you hear all these people all the time. This is like one of the most common things you hear. Oh, you can't win your draft in the first 2 rounds, but you can lose it. You know what? That's bullshit. You can win your draft in the first 2. I mean, seriously though, you can have awesome, fantastic players that are dominating. Yeah. And I think Kamara's finishes so far, weekly finishes are 1-1, 11-1 for running backs for the week. It's amazing. Yeah. Well,
it's been crazy what those guys have been doing. Angelo, I'm curious. I don't know if this was a 2018 strategy for you or if this has been your sort of MO in high-stakes fantasy drafts. But how often do you target these pass-catching running backs? Because I know a lot of people like to wait until like the 5th, 6th, 7th round, and then, in years past where you scoop up the Chris Thompsons of the world, the Theo Riddicks of the world. But this is really the first year, at least in my opinion, where you have these pass-catching backs that went in the, the 1st and 2nd round, but not at the very top. I mean, obviously the Le'Veon Bells, the David Johnsons, the Todd Gurleys are always going to go up there. But you had Christian McCaffrey going in like the mid to late 1st, depending upon where you draft. Alvin Kamara, mid to late 1st, depending on when you draft. I'm just curious how often you target pass-catching running backs early in your drafts.
Well, when I'm drafting, I look at what's happening. I'm more of a draft flow type of drafter. You know what I'm saying? So if you're giving me a certain player, I'm going to take them. I have no problem doing it. The way this one fell, this one particularly is a little bit special because I drafted this one on my birthday. So, and I had the 7th pick on it. So I did not expect Kamara to drop to me at that point because by that point in time, I probably had done about 30 drafts. So Kamara was going anywhere from 5, 6. When he fell to 7, I was like, all right, this is awesome. And then when it swung back around, there's McCaffrey sitting there staring me at the face. I'm like, I got to grab this guy. This is, this guy, I love what he did last year. And coming into this year, this guy is 6 catches automatic. You know what I'm saying? And he doesn't, it's not like a 6 catches for 30 yards. It's like 6 catches for 85 yards. He's unbelievable. So it was just an easy pick to make. And basically as this draft kept flowing and flowing, I was just like, just sitting there going, happy birthday to me, happy birthday to me. All of a sudden, there's Adam Thielen. I'm not kidding you, because look where I grabbed Adam Thielen compared to where he was going towards the end of the draft season. Tyreek Hill in the 4th round. That's ridiculous. I'm sorry. He was going at the end of 2 by the time end of August rolled around. So I'm just sitting there going, I can't believe this squad has fallen to me right now.
Yeah, draft early.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've always said that over and over again. You get great value when you draft early. Hey, question from the chat room right away, Angelo. Shane Hallam wants to know how you see Alvin Kamara. Is he going to slow down now with the return of Mark Ingram, or does he keep up this pace that he's been accustomed to over the first month of the season?
That's interesting. Actually, I just saw a stat. They were showing week 6 through week 17 last year. Now, Kamara missed 1 game. Now, in that stretch, Ingram was a top 10 back 7 times. Kamara was a top 10 back 9 times. So what that tells you is there's plenty for both. You know what I'm saying? And they both finished as a number 1 or number 3 back, at least 4 or 5 times in that stretch. So you might have a hiccup here or there, but by the end of the season, we're in a points business. The points will be there. So there's no need to worry. These guys are going to, Kamara's going to produce, so is Ingram. They'll be fine.
Angelo, you kind of already alluded to it, but the second-place team that you have in the Footballguys Players Championship, right away, Alvin Kamara, 1st round, Christian McCaffrey, 2nd round, Adam Thielen, 3rd round, Tyreek Hill, 4th round. I mean, you slayed it on those first 4 picks. Your 5th-round pick, I got to ask you, are you still scratching your head a little bit on what went wrong there? Because Ronald Jones he's struggled coming out of the gate. Now, you still own him in this league, so I'm thinking that you believe that better things are in store for him for the remainder of the season. When do you think those good things start happening for Jones, and how high do you think he will finish among running backs this season?
Well, I hope they can trust him, because I honestly feel the biggest reason why he wasn't given a chance is they don't trust him. I'm looking at, you look at the first 4 weeks of the season, and they had a tough stretch there. New Orleans, Eagles, Steelers, and Bears. That's not an easy group to run against. So that's some tough sledding there. So what I'm hoping is they got a nice little game against Atlanta. You know what I'm saying? Atlanta hasn't been the toughest against the run. So if Rojo can show any life there, there's possibility that, hey, this kid could be a flex play, maybe, come to life and do something. The Bucs in general have to run the ball. I think they're just, they've basically abandoned it the last 2 weeks. They've got, 15, 20 runs the last 2 weeks? It's been terrible.
They've become a one-dimensional team, no question, and obviously with the bye week this week, this is a great week to get Ronald Jones up to speed. Maybe better things are ahead for him when they return in week 6, Dave, don't you think?
Yeah, I think so, actually.
Yeah.
I like Rojo coming into the season. He was terrible in preseason, but I didn't cut him. I still believe in him.
I have not cut him anywhere.
I was real big on Rojo coming in. I really was. I was really, you know what I'm saying? I also picked up Peyton Barber later in this draft thinking, okay, if Rojo starts a little slow, Barber's looked pretty good in the preseason, and then nothing. It's like, what's going on with these guys?
Yeah, I wonder if that's Dirk. Yeah, anyway, I'm not going to rip on Dirk Koetter too much. So let's talk about George Kittle. He blew up last week with the great C.J. Beathard as his quarterback. Do you think that's a sign of things to come? And how likely is it that Kittle finishes in the top, I'm going to say top 7 among tight ends in 20 years?
Oh, come on.
Top 5. This question is stupid.
Top 5. He's got a shot.
Rob, top 7.
All right, well, we'll ask, seriously, Angelo, you give us your thoughts on where you think Kittle finishes.
Well, Kittle, I'll tell you one interesting stat that I saw with him, and it gives him potential. I don't see him top 5. I'm more with Dave. I think top 7 is more realistic. But one thing that he's done, he's averaged, since going back to the 3 games last year, the last 3 games of the season, 16.8 per catch. That's more than Michael Thomas. Michael Thomas' career, he's averaging 16.3. You're talking a tight end. And right now he's at 17.6 a catch this season. If his TDs can increase a little bit, this kid, then he can slide into that top 5 conversation. But without those TDs, I don't see it.
So should I be trading for Kittle in Dynasty?
I'm sorry?
Do you think I should be trading for George Kittle in Dynasty League?
Yeah. This kid, he showed flashes last year. And, coming into this season, he's already produced in 3 out of the 4 games. Beathard was his roommate in college. It's it's his buddy. And the other thing, he's the tallest receiver on that team. Everybody else is like little midgets running around. So they can't see him. I mean, he's such a big target that there he is. Give him the ball. You know what I'm saying?
Well, do you own Kittle anymore?
I don't own Kittle.
Meyer, do you own Kittle and Carrington?
And we'll ask him. I don't think he does. But I don't own Kittle in any dynasty leagues. One other thing to keep in mind that first of all, I agree on the points that both of you guys are making about Kittle. Other thing to keep in mind: no Jerick McKinnon for the rest of the season. No Jimmy Garoppolo for the rest of the season. This might be a lost season for the Niners, and if it indeed is, they are probably going to be throwing quite a bit to stay in games, especially going against teams like the Rams that they play this year within their own division. If that's the case, if Marquise Goodwin can't get right, as Aunt Jemima points out in the chat room, George Kittle is going to be C.J. Beathard's first read. That's a lot of targets. That's a lot of passes being thrown to him, and you can take advantage if you have George Kittle on your teams and deploy him in your starting lineups, especially in an FFPC tight end premium format.
Well, the only one people play, of course.
Oh, obviously, yeah.
He's at 7 targets a game right now, too.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, it's already happening, and if you haven't noticed it yet, you're already behind the curve. Angelo, Lilas, the second-place team and 18th-place team owner in the Football Guys Players Championship, joining us this week on the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour. Let's shift our focus to Detroit, a team that is playing the Green Bay Packers this Sunday afternoon. Angelo, why won't Detroit use Kerryon Johnson more? I mean, Matt Patricia already came out and said this week that he believes that Kerryon Johnson is getting enough touches in that offense. If this is the case, if this is what we're supposed to expect from Detroit, do you feel that Kerryon Johnson actually needs to be on benches going forward instead of being flexed out like a lot of owners have been doing?
No, I think you can continue to play him because he's getting enough touches to be relevant. And then if he scores, it obviously gives him a nice day. Personally, I think Blount has something on Patricia because, none of it makes sense. I guess Patricia must owe him a favor or something because it doesn't make sense to put a guy out there that's getting a yard per carry or whatever he's averaging right now. Kerryon Johnson looked great, and the only thing I can think of, it goes back to being a rookie and comes down to the trust factor. How much do coaches trust him to go out there and do exactly what, needs to be done on every single play, not just the ones that he's having success on, So it could be, Kerryon could be more of that running back where right now you're seeing him, 9 to 15 touches a game, and then maybe as the season wears on, and all of a sudden you'll start seeing that 20 to 25 when they have more trust in him.
I like that. I like Kerryon Johnson. I like him a lot. Anyway, so let's move on. Let's talk about Seattle running backs.
Were you looking for my input on that?
No, I guess not.
I think he's fine. Yeah.
Seattle running backs: Chris Carson, Penny, who's been worth not half a penny.
No.
And Mike Davis. Is there a player you like here, or staying away from completely? Supposedly Carson's coming back this week, which may relegate Davis to the bench.
That's another one that's just a pile of it's a pile of something, you know what I'm saying? You have Carson who had 32, 33 carries a couple of games ago, 3.1 a carry, he scored a touchdown, so he ended up having a decent day. Nothing special. Penny comes out the first game, they give him 5 targets, catches 4 balls, gets nothing the rest of the next 3 weeks after that. Carson gets hurt. Now you're thinking, okay, here's Penny's shot. He should get in there, nice 15, 20 touches. Boom, Mike Davis is getting the start. Mike Davis has a 3.1 yards per carry. I'm like, are you kidding me? Why? You invested a first-round pick on Rashad Penny, and you're playing Mike Davis. I don't know. It's just sometimes you just look at it and you just shake your head and you don't know. You just want to say, hey, yo, what do you got this guy sitting on the bench for? Look at this. He's got a nice shiny Cadillac, and you're playing this guy? Makes no sense.
No, I'm with you. And I stopped trying to understand. It's one thing for a team to make these decisions, and you kind of get a feel of where they're going as far as personnel goes in the off season, because you can't really lie then, as Sigmund Bloom from Football Guys likes to say. When it comes to free agency and draft, teams can't lie because this is what they're doing. This is what they're at. And
right. The Steelers hate Le'Veon Bell.
Right, exactly. And then when it comes to Seattle, apparently you can lie because you could draft the running back in the first round and then use everybody but him in your backfield going forward. Which
Carroll lies to himself.
Right.
That is totally true. He is more the
I
head
almost feel like
cheerleader
it's
than
not
the
a
head
spite
coach.
for some reason. Someone
Yeah,
fight. Like, I don't want to put him out there. Just here. These are the guys that, ever since he was talking up Carson, I remember during the spring, do you see that Carson? Everybody's asking about Penny, and he kept bringing up Carson. It's like,
yeah,
okay.
That is classic Pete Carroll misdirection. You know what I mean? Like, that guy could be the governor of Washington someday. It wouldn't surprise me at all.
Is he the new Belichick with running back?
No, he's worse than Belichick. I mean, it's awful trying to figure that out.
I was thinking
moving
of that
on.
too. I'm like, what's the worst situation, Belichick or the Carroll for running backs?
I think it's Pete Carroll.
Well, with Belichick, you can start. I would comfortably start Sony Michel and James White every week. Right now, I'm like, thank goodness.
Here's what was great about
Get rid of Burkhead. Burkhead's gone. Thank God.
And here's what was great about the Patriots on Thursday night, Dave. Prior to that game, they cut Kenyon Barner, right? Mm-hmm. So they basically only had 2 running backs up for that game, James White and Sony Michel. You could comfortably start both of them.
Always, yeah.
Like, there's no way.
Sure,
there's no way you could have screwed that one up. Now, if it was you take away that Sony Michel touchdown run late in the game, well, then maybe he was not looking at such a great start.
What a fantastic player.
But he ended up being a pretty good. They both, White. What did White end up? 10 for 77. Did he get a touchdown?
Yeah, he scored.
So I mean, you had 20 plus points from him. Michel had like 16, 17 points, right?
Yeah, Angelo, do you have any exposure to those Patriots running backs on your team?
Do I have any what?
Exposure to either of those 2 Patriots backs on any of your teams.
Oh, yeah, I have them. Yeah, I have them paired up actually on 2 different teams, and I'm playing both of them because you can. Yeah. Oh yeah. I got a little point total from them. I was actually going to bring that up. The best thing that I hate when I don't want people to get hurt. Don't get me wrong, but the best thing that could have happened is that Jeremy Hill tore a ACL or whatever it was, and Rex Burkhead going on IR. Because now, guess what? He gave you a clear-cut 2-back system. And look how great this is. It's like, would you ever think you would say, I'm starting my Patriots running backs? Because that's where we're at right now. They're both basically must-starts right now.
I agree. Totally agree.
So I had them. I paired them in one league with both White and Michel, and I felt it was one of those things when I was setting my lineup on Thursday afternoon. I was kind of like, God, am I really deploying both these guys? But I did, and obviously now I feel great about it, and I feel pretty good about it. I feel pretty good about it going forward as well. Angelo, your latest 2 acquisitions on the FPC team that is in second place, Kiki Cutie, and then the tight end from Denver, Jeff Heuerman. Heuerman, I don't even know how you pronounce it. How big of a difference?
Yeah, right.
How big of a difference can these 2 guys make for not only your fantasy team going forward, but fantasy teams in general?
Well, that with Kute is speed, and if him and Fuller's hamstring can stay on, that combination of that trio they got over there could be devastating to defenses, man. Because good luck trying to cover that. Kute, the one thing that I noticed, he had 15 targets, 11 catches, 109 yards, but the average is only 9.9, which is telling me that he's catching everything around the line of scrimmage, and he's running after the catch. So I think that yards per average is probably going to go up a little bit, especially if all 3 of them are in the game at the same time. But this kid has a shot. I think even with Fuller playing, this kid, I think he's not going to see 15 targets, but he can. I could see him seeing 7 or 8 targets because they're going to use him a lot in that short game.
Yeah, the Houston Texans wide receiver core. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. No, and Hammerman, he's basically throwing darts because I need somebody. Everybody's getting hurt, so.
Yeah, the tight end position has been kind of a wasteland when you get outside the top 2 or 3 guys this year. But getting back to QT in the Texans, the wide receiver the wide receiver core in Houston this year, extremely top heavy. They do not have a lot of depth behind those top 3 guys. Bruce Ellington going on IR, and the running game hasn't been all that great. We don't even know if Lamar Miller is going to play this week. Deontay Foreman is coming off an Achilles tear. Now it sounds like things are moving in the right direction for him, and maybe he'll be back in a couple of weeks. But Houston will go as far as Deshaun Watson can throw it, and as many times as Hopkins, Fuller, and QT can catch it this year. So certainly you want to be, as our good friend from the KFFSC, Farrell Elliott, would say, you want to be in business with those guys this year. So clearly, I think QT makes a lot of sense. Dave, I don't know how you feel about Kiki QT.
Yeah, I like him a lot, actually. I mean, Fuller plays once in a while, right? Is he playing this week?
Well, it sounds like he's trending in the right direction. I think he's going to be out there on Sunday.
The problem with that guy, though, is every single week you have to ask, is he playing?
Well, not only that, Dave, but when you ask that, he's at a risk for re-aggravating that injury in the game.
And when you say that injury, I don't even know what the hell injury
Usually
is.
a hamstring,
I'm not going to swear again. It's the same thing. Whether it's the same thing or something, it's always something with him.
Yeah. And as Aunt Jemima is pointing out, this is a Sunday night game this week.
By the way, Two-Packer he was group chatting about Will Fuller because he caught a touchdown early last week. He's like, haha, everybody always thinks Will Fuller's worth a second-round pick, and then he got hurt. And then I'm like, well, hey, I'll give you a second for him. That's why he's worth a second.
Yeah.
He's not worth the first.
Just
one thing about Will Fuller. Every fourth catch is a touchdown. You just remember that.
Yeah.
So you could talk about it, but every fourth catch that guy is amazing, man. That guy, I swear, he's worth. I think I grabbed him in the 8th or 9th round in a couple of drafts. He's totally worth it.
I keep waiting for the efficiency to slow down. It still hasn't. I don't know if it ever will.
He's like an Italian sports car. It's really awesome.
Well, is it coincidence that the fourth catch where he ended up getting hurt was a touchdown too? I mean, it's odd. It's very odd.
Oh my gosh! Hold on. His real life teammate. I don't know if you heard this. I don't know where I heard it. It was on some highlight show, but it was the color analyst and obviously the play-by-play guy for the Bengals game this past weekend. And Andy Dalton dropped back to pass, and he threw a long touchdown to the speed burner on Cincinnati, John Ross, who also is no stranger to the trainer's table. And I swear to God, the call was something like, Dalton drops back to pass. He wants it all. He's got John Ross in the end zone, touchdown, and he's hurt. I think that was one spot.
There was no comma.
And you know what? John Ross already ruled out for this weekend's game.
Yeah.
It's just unbelievable.
Anyway, next one. Let's talk quarterbacks a little bit. You have a nice lab decision this week. Well, interesting at least. Carson Wentz and Kirk, they're playing each other this week. And let me give you not that anyone cares. Well,
I care. I want to hear this.
The Footballguys rankings.
Okay.
They have our prestige, one of the best handicappers of fantasy rankings in the business, David Dodd.
Yep.
Kirk Cousins with 20. I'm going to give it this way. This is premium content.
Right.
21.6.
This is the projections for this week. Yeah. So he has 21.6 for Cousins.
And a lowly 21.0.
And 21 even for Carson Wentz.
But Wentz is at home and Cousins on the road. Generally, quarterbacks play a little bit better at home. So what do you think?
Yeah, I actually got some stats there for that one. I was doing some homework on that because I'm still I was leaning Wentz because he's the home guy, but then I started looking at some stuff and started leaning at Cousins, and then, I don't know, maybe I'm going back to Wentz now. This is going to be basically game time for me. But the one thing Cousins has done, on two games on the road, he's averaged 423 yards and 3.5 touchdowns. That's impressive. I mean, by any means, and I guess some pretty decent teams too, And but the thing is, on the road, the Eagles give up 372 yards. At home, they give up 207 yards. Something's got to give there. There's got to be a middle ground somewhere. So it's tricky. That's why I keep looking at saying, I should go with Cousins because 423 and 3.5 seems pretty good. But then the Eagles play pretty good at home, even though their defense has been a little shaky the last few weeks. You know what I'm saying? But they are a different home team than they are a road team. And then same thing with Wentz. I look at him. He's got 2 games under him. Without Jeffrey, at home he was 255, 1-1. On the road with him, he was 348-2. So it's a tough call, man. It's honestly, it's really going to come down to the wire with me whether I go with one guy or the other. And honestly, I might be arguing over 2 or 3 points separating them anyways by the end of the game.
Yeah, the spread is Eagles -3, -120, and over/under is 46.5. So it's approximately 25-22 or thereabouts.
Can you imagine the Vikings dropping to 1-3-1 to start the season? That's crazy to think about.
That'd be great.
It is, yeah.
That'd be great. I'm a Bear fan.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Well, Angelo.
Can you do a Ditka for us? Do you want to do a Ditka?
Yeah, do you have a good Ditka impression?
Oh yeah, right. No, I could throw some gum maybe. I don't know. That's about it.
Angelo, as long as we're talking about the Bears, what's your from a fantasy perspective, what's your early impressions on this new Matt Nagy offense led by Mitchell Trubisky? Obviously, Howard has had his games. Cohen had a big game last game. We've already seen Allen Robinson with a double-digit reception game. Trey Burton in the end zone last week. There's a lot to like in this offense.
There is. It's basically consistency. These guys, I mean, you can't expect 6 touchdowns every game, or even what the Chiefs are doing exactly at this point in time. But what you need to see is just be consistent week to week. Go out there, perform well and complement the defense. That's the biggest thing. I mean, yeah, I want a ton of points, but I also want them to win. You know what I'm saying? So complement the defense. I know Howard has kind of struggled a little bit, and people probably are down on him, but he will go as the weather goes. Trust me, once it starts getting -10 over here, it's going to be hard to tackle a 230-pound bowling ball. And I think that'll be another element into that offense that people will see, like I said, as the weather changes. And like I said, the rest, just be consistent, be consistent with your throws and, don't be all jittery and running around all over the place,
Hey, but real quick, speaking of the Bears, 3 Cohen actually tweeted. He said, who's bigger than me on Twitter today? And Todd Gurley responded, everybody.
I didn't see that. That's great.
That was pretty funny.
Yeah, that's
They had a good banter back and forth.
Hilarious and true, by the way. Yeah, we got a couple of emails that I want to get to tonight for you, Angelo, that came in from some listeners. But before we get to those, there were a couple of questions in the chat room I wanted to get to. Wasp Guy wants to know, after we saw Josh Gordon get a touchdown for the Patriots last night, do you view him as fantasy gold or fantasy pyrite for the rest of the season?
Wow. That's tough, man, because you're looking at an offense right now where you got Gronk, you got James White, you got Michelle, you got Chris Hogan, Dorsett, you got Cordell Patterson catching 3-yard touchdowns. I like Gordon, and I actually played him in one team this week because I had to. I had no choice. But until I see consistency there, I don't know. I'd wait. I don't know if he's back and forth.
He's pyrite to me.
So it's just a wait and see right now. Obviously, you're not cutting bait on him, but you're.
I don't want to go pyrite because if Brady finds that magic with him, he's got potential. Let's put it that way. You know what I'm saying? But it is what it is. It's a work in progress. Let's put it that way.
Aunt Jemima also chiming in the chat room. He has an interesting decision to make for his starting quarterback position this week, and this is another fascinating one. Similar how you have to make the call between Wentz and Cousins, who are facing each other. He has to make the decision between 2 quarterbacks that are facing each other, Ben Roethlisberger and Matt Ryan, in the highest.
That's gold and platinum right there.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I believe this is the highest over/under of the season in the NFL so far. It's set at 58. Atlanta visiting Heinz Field, and Big Ben Roethlisberger and the Steelers up there.
That's a kiss my ass hand.
Yeah, which quarterback would you start there if you had to make the call? Is it Matt Ryan or is it Ben Roethlisberger for you, Angelo?
Wow. I mean, you like apples or apples? I mean that's basically what I see there with that. I mean that's what I see there. That's basically the Cousin Wentz situation. It's you might be haggling over a couple of points. A lot of times in that situation, maybe I'd go with the home quarterback. You know what I'm saying? I mean, Pittsburgh's been throwing the ball like crazy. Ben always plays well at home. With Ryan, they seem to, I don't know, they get down to the inside the 10 or by the 15 and they forget how to score a touchdown. So, as well as they've been playing, they've been at home the last couple of weeks. I would probably lean Ben.
I'd go Big Ben.
I would too.
Big Ben's he's one of the guys with those 450-yard games. You're like, damn it!
Yeah.
Why am I playing against this guy? This is the worst.
Listen, this screams this is going to be one of those games.
Oh,
this is going to be one of those games where, especially if Atlanta jumps on them like 14-0. No, but especially if Atlanta jumps on them like 14-0 early or something like that. And remember, well, I won't get into the whole. I mean, we could talk this to death. They're both excellent starts this week. I would lean towards Roethlisberger.
There's only one thing you can count on in that whole game.
Okay.
Julio Jones will not score a touchdown.
Totally with you on that. No question.
Yep, he'll have 184 yards on 7 catches.
He might have 184 catches, and he won't get in the end zone this game. We have a couple of emails here that came in for you, Angelo. I'm going to skip the first one from John in Houston because it's regarding that Seattle running game, which you already talked about. I'm going to skip to Doug in Massillon, Ohio. He writes, Hi, Angelo. Since Buck Allen has been so successful with fewer touches than Alex Collins, do you see them getting closer to a 50-50 backfield split in Baltimore as the season goes on? Good luck in the FPC. That is Doug in Massillon, Ohio. Thank you for the email, Doug. How do you view that Baltimore running game between Allen and Collins? Is it still Collins, or is Allen closely approaching a 50-50 timeshare there?
Well, I'll say this. I drafted 58 leagues. I have Collins on none of them. So I have Buck Allen on I got Buck Allen on maybe about 20 of them, 25. He was one of my later round grabs. I didn't feel the Collins thing. You know what I'm saying? I didn't like him coming into this year. Now, will he get a 50-50 share? See, Buck Allen isn't that kind of back. You know what I'm saying? He's not a guy that's going to rush the ball 15 to 20 times. I don't see that happening. You know what I'm saying? He'll get maybe 5 to 6 touches running the ball, and where he'll make his hay is when they're in goal line package. You know, he'll get that. You know, he'll get the call, and hopefully, you know, he squirts in for one. Other than that, he'll end up with 4 or 5 dump offs too, because Flacco loves throwing it, dumping off short when he can. So, going forward, I prefer Buck Allen over Collins.
Interesting. I like that though.
Yeah, listen. We always talk about these backfield scenarios. Who's catching the passes? Who's getting goal line? Well, Buck Allen's been getting in there in the goal line, and he's clearly catching passes. So you make a strong case there, and I think that it makes a lot of sense to like Buck Allen as much or better than Alex Collins going forward. As weird as that sounds, it might be accurate.
Collins did practice fully today. So
here's the thing with Alex Collins, and I'll break this down. It was Wednesday he was limited. He was downgraded on Thursday to a DNP. However, he did practice today. John Harbaugh says it was a maintenance day for him, managing those reps, making sure he's healthy going forward. I know everybody kind of got in a tizzy about it, but nothing to see here, nothing to worry about. Alex Collins will be out there this Sunday when they take on the Browns.
All right. So this is one of our favorite. Go ahead. Actually, go ahead, Angelo.
Oh, no. Go ahead, guys.
All right, we're going to ask our final question. This is one of our favorites.
Yep.
We need an early round stud player that you think you might want to bench this week, and a late sleeper that you think should really be in the lineups this week that maybe people are still asleep on.
Well, a late round flyer that might hit well this week. I was looking at Taiwan Taylor. I kind of like him. You got Buffalo's top corner should be on Davis. He's actually pretty good. So I could see Taiwan Taylor sneaking in with some targets this week, you know, against a pretty easy opponent, you know. So he's one guy I think if you need a guy in your lineup and you don't really have anybody, he's one you can squeeze in there.
All right.
And then, you make a good. I'll just say this: Tre'Davious White should be on Corey Davis this week. He is a potential shutdown. Well, not a potential shutdown quarter. He has the potential to shut down Corey Davis this week, and that means a lot of action going Taiwan Taylor's way with no Rashard Matthews on the roster anymore. Go ahead with your stud that you might consider benching, Angelo.
Well, studs that I might. I'll give you. It's a little bit different, but I'll give you the Atlanta backfield because you got Freeman coming back from injury. But if you look at Pittsburgh, their defense is bad, but they've actually been pretty good at stopping the run. They've actually allowed running backs as a group to only get 19.1 points. So you're looking at 2 guys splitting 19.1 points. You might be better off sitting them both. Or maybe just I'd probably take Coleman. I'd sit Freeman.
That's an interesting thing to watch out for, too, is that Atlanta backfield. And I think we'll get into that later on in the show, too. But it's one of those things, Dave, I know we were talking about this earlier. I think I might have changed my tune on starting Devontae Freeman this week.
Oh, yeah?
It
was Jeffrey against Freeman, I think, was our discussion.
Yeah, and I might be leaning more towards Jeffrey over Freeman now. So we'll get into that later on. Listen, Angelo, so fantastic to have you on. I know we kept you on a little bit longer tonight. Great stuff from you. Good luck the rest of the way in all your leagues, especially these 2 Football Guys teams that you have sitting in the top 20. Before we let you go, one last opportunity. We do have a ton of FFPC players in the Chicagoland area. Where can they find your place of business?
Hot dog.
Yeah, Archer and Austin. It's right by Midway, 6142 South Archer.
Thank you so much for that, and thank you so much for coming on the show, Angelo. Good luck to you the rest of the way. We'll talk to you again real soon, man.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Angelo Lilas, ladies and gentlemen, second place in the Football Guys Players Championship, 18th in that same contest as well. He's got a couple of bullets in the chamber ready to fire at this $250,000 grand prize, Dave. Always good to hear from a fellow Midwesterner. And he did a great job tonight. A lot of great knowledge from him and very entertaining.
Yeah, it was great. Fantastic.
Yeah, I really
Loved
appreciated that. Let's move on and get to Fantasy Flash. Thanks to Football Guys, Roto World, and Rob for tonight's rundown. Yes, Rob did a bang-up job on that. Dalvin Cook.
Be nicer, Rob.
Dalvin Cook, he's fine. Dalvin Cook was not at Friday's practice. That's today for the Vikings, according to ESPN Vikings reporter Courtney Cronin. Mike Zimmer expects to list Dalvin Cook as questionable, which I believe he already did, but it does not sound like he is going to be playing this week. No, I basically did not practice all week. Latavius Murray going up against that Eagles defense. Now, it sounds exciting, Dave, because you remember Dalvin Cook was active against the Rams last week, basically played the first half, sat out the entire second half in favor of Latavius Murray.
What did Murray do last week?
Here's the thing. No, I know you're baiting me into this.
No, I'm actually wondering.
Let me finish my thought here.
I don't know the answer. I was actually asking.
Well, my point is, I don't envision Latavius Murray doing anything that you want in your starting lineup against that vicious Eagles rush defense this week. So I am still saying whether Cook is active or not, I would sit him both. I would not. If Cook is active, I'm not playing him. If he's inactive, I'm not playing Murray. I don't want to have any part of this in this Vikings-Eagles matchup. I'm just looking up the total here real quick. In this Minnesota-Philadelphia game, I'm actually kind of compelled to check this out because I honestly don't know where. It's at 46.5, and it's a late game. That's the other thing that's working against you, too, is you will not know if Dalvin Cook is active until roughly, whatever it be, 3 o'clock Eastern time on Sunday afternoon.
Well, I'm going to quote a former president of the United States.
Okay.
I'm not trying to get too political here.
Yeah, well, you kind of are.
There's an old saying in Tennessee, I know it's in Texas, probably in Tennessee, that says, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me, you can't get fooled again.
Right.
That was George W. Bush.
Yeah, I believe that's...
So there you go.
That's Roger Daltrey from The Who.
So
we won't get fooled again!
So I'm not getting fooled again on stupid Latavius Murray. Screw him.
Yeah. So we're saying, but you would agree with me, if Dalvin Cook's active, still sit him.
Yeah, I would actually.
If Latavius Murray is active and Dalvin Cook is inactive, still sit Murray.
Right, I'm not playing anybody.
Yeah, I am not.
I'm going to start McKinnon's ghost over there.
I don't know if I'd do that. I might rather start Mo Williams if he were to tote the rock again for this Vikings-Eagles matchup. I don't want any part of Murray or Cook. Catherine Terrell, the ESPN Bengals reporter, stated today that she expects C.J. Uzomah to be the Bengals' top tight end moving forward. Now, you look at the Bengals tight end situation. Tyler Eifert, finally, by the way, Dave, I don't know if you saw this, he was IR'd today.
You know what? It's funny that you mentioned that.
Okay.
I went to search on Twitter about Eifert for whatever reason midday today, and I looked, and it was the tweet was by some non really cool site or whatever.
Okay.
I don't know whatever it was.
MyFFPC.com.
Right. Exactly.
HSFFOR.com.
Like
EricFalkman.com.
It says Eifert IR'd by the Bengals.
Right.
And the tweet came up 50 seconds ago.
Nice.
So I went, because we have this option for Dynasty immediately to go and then put him on IR.
Right.
So within a minute and 5 seconds after the news on Twitter coming out.
After this non-reputable site reported it.
Well, whatever. I don't care. So then, so it came out, I put Eifert on IR, and then I emailed back the 6 or 7 people that had asked me, hey, can I IR Eifert?
For waivers tonight.
Right, yeah. For waivers Wednesday, actually, was what they were asking.
Okay.
But regardless, I'm like, hey, you can IR Eifert, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So anyway, I don't know when Sport Radar came out with it, but I guarantee you it was probably like 6 hours after we did it.
So so the whole point of this what I'm saying here, getting back to C.J. Uzomah, last week he had 1 target. He caught it for a 6-yard catch.
Nice. In
2016, if you go back 2016, he had 25 catches for 234 yards and a touchdown, making 8 starts. I know we're on the fringe here, Dave. We are on just the absolute margins of a roster spot. Tight end premium scoring. Let's shift the focus to main event and football guys. Right. Is Uzomah worth owning in those formats? In your opinion?
Yeah, I think he's worth a shot. I mean, it's a decent enough team. Dalton, Dalton's, pale and he has red hair. It's okay. He does throw for a lot of yards. So he's okay. He's decent. Nick Vannett, I think, was another option for the Seahawks. That was a good pickup this week. Yeah. I think you take a shot with those guys, and then just like Johnny Smith, if they suck, which Johnny Smith has been terrible, then you just cut them. If they're not involved in the offense, you get rid of them. But I think either one of those two guys will actually be somewhat viable.
Yeah, I'm with you on trying to find a spot for Uzomah right now. Remember, John Ross is hurt. He will not play this week. Giovanni Bernard out 2 to 4 weeks with a sprained MCL. Bengals are a 6-point favorite with a total of 48.5 this week. So this will be a good litmus test for Uzomah. If he can get involved in a game like this, I think certainly there's some viability with the bye week gauntlet coming up. I think he's a guy that you want to keep around rather than not on your roster. However, that may not be a luxury that you're afforded. Now, if you are, keep him there. If not, see if you can find a spot coming up. But I'm not super excited about Uzomah going forward, but I do. It's the FOMO, Dave. Hashtag FOMO, fear of missing out. So be careful with that. Sarah Barshop on Twitter stated that Coach Bill O'Brien said Deontay Foreman is, quote, on track to return when he is first eligible to come off the PUP list coming up in Week 7. If you remember, Deontay Foreman tore his Achilles when he was really running hot.
Hey, why didn't you tell me this earlier?
Last November, he should be at or close to 100%. Lamar Miller, we don't know. He's a game-time decision this week, and he hasn't been doing much with that role, and he has not scored yet. So Deontay Foreman, talk a little bit about what his prospects are going forward for the remainder of this season and what you think he will mean in a Houston backfield that is aching for some production.
Well, Lamar Miller has been so disappointing.
He has been.
Again, coming back from the Achilles, I still am not that confident about Foreman. To be honest, I wish I had kind of known this news. I didn't really read it, as you know. I don't preface the show, as you can tell how bad it is.
Hashtag par for the course. And hashtag par for the course.
Yeah, we shoot birdies every week, buddy.
Yeah.
Anyway, I guess I would pick up Foreman preemptively if I could in a few spots. If I had total crappy guys, I have no reason. If I had a second defense and I had no reason to have them, fine, I'll pick up Foreman.
Right.
Because Miller's been just kind of pedestrian.
Well, and Foreman's the future there. As of right now.
I don't know about that.
There is not a more promising back on the Houston roster right now than Deontay Foreman.
There's a lot of qualifiers in that.
There is. But, they're not. They're not adding anybody more exciting than Deontay Foreman the rest of the season.
I will grant you that.
Arian Foster's not walking through that door, ladies and gentlemen.
Also correct.
So I think there's it's okay. Let me ask you this: FFPC tight end premium.
Stupid Lamar Miller doesn't have a touchdown.
FFPC tight end premium format. You only have one roster spot. Are you using it on CJ Uzomah or are you using it on Deontay Foreman?
Well, given the recent news, it depends on my tight ends. I would probably use it on Foreman if I had okay tight ends.
Okay.
But if I was desperate for tight ends, if my tight ends were let's say you have, really,
hold on, let me. You have Greg Olsen and Austin Seferian-Jenkins.
Yeah, I would probably use it on Uzomah.
Okay.
Because you can't trust Greg Olsen as much as you can't trust Foreman.
Right. Yeah.
So.
I'm trying to think of another good example here. George Kittle and ASJ.
I would probably actually.
Then you go Foreman. Okay.
Yeah.
That was a bad example by me. There's got to be a fringe one here. Not Kyle Rudolph because I know where you'd stand on that. Not Jared Cook because I know where you'd stand on that. Who's another fringe tight end?
Jared Cook's like a top 5 tight end.
No,
I don't know what
if you were listening to the Appleton Trophy Fantasy Football Show on 95.3 and 99.1, the score AM 1570 as well from 5 to 6 p.m. Central Time last night, you would know because I cited this stat. Jared Cook tops. Yeah. That means number 1 in the NFL amongst tight ends receiving yardage. There is not a tight end coming into this week that has more receiving yardage than Jared Cook. It's not amazing, Dave. It's insane.
He's like the best.
It's bananas.
He's not being the worst, but the best.
Oh my gosh! What world are we living in at this point?
So answer my match is Hooper and then Watson.
I would rather have.
I'm gonna have Watson because you have Drew Reed.
I would rather have Foreman.
Than
Uzomah in that scenario.
No, all right. Let's move on.
Okay.
It was good little discussion.
Royce Freeman is actually going to see more touches if Vance Joseph, who is his head coach, gets his way. Freeman has 10 carries of 10 yards or more so far this season, which is 3rd in professional football right now. Kyle Fredrickson had the story on the Denver Post. Royce Freeman has been breaking tackles, yards after contact, a strength for the rookie from Oregon. However, Philip Lindsay's mucking things up for him there. He's looking really good. Royce Freeman is trying to carve out his role in that, but Philip Lindsay making it very difficult for him. How do you assess Royce Freeman going forward in your fantasy leagues, Dave? And to preface this, I'll tell you right now that Denver is at the New York Jets this week as a 1-point favorite in a game that features a 42.5-point total.
I was going to say kind of a lower total because the Jets actually are a pretty solid team overall and a solid defense.
Right.
And playing at home. When the coach, this coach, Vance Joseph, he doesn't have this history of lying like the Seahawks do. When he says that Freeman's going to see more touches, I am apt to believe that he might actually see more touches.
Are you likely
to? I think Lindsay, I'd want to sit him a little bit more.
Okay, that's fine. Let's say you have one flex spot available to you in one of your leagues this week. You can either play Philip Lindsay or Royce Freeman. Who is it?
I think I'd play Freeman.
Okay, you'd play Freeman. How strongly do you feel about that?
I would bet $5 worth on it.
Okay, I have Philip Lindsay outscoring Royce Freeman this week. I got 5 on it.
I got 5 on it. I'll take it.
I got 5 on it. All right, Lindsay versus a Freeman. All right, this is a good one. Okay, and then week 5 against the Jets. All right, perfect. If we look at this through more of a season-long scope, who do you think outscores the other one for the remainder of the season?
I think Freeman will outscore him.
I do not necessarily disagree with that. I for sure am not putting 5 on that because I don't know how I feel about it. Well, I'm just saying, you could be right. I feel strongly that Lindsay will outscore Freeman this week. I don't know for the remainder.
Why don't you just cross your legs?
It has nothing to do with that. It's everything to do with making the correct decision, which is by the way, what we try to do on this show.
Oh, it is?
You jerk. Moving on.
I know you get so mad about it.
We kind of touched on this, so we can feel free to skip over this. We won't skip over it, but if you don't have much to say, that's okay. Will Fuller said that his injured hamstring feels better. He says he expects to play if his progress continues this week.
Sure.
Aaron Wilson from the Houston Chronicle. So this is a Sunday night game, as Aunt Jemima, I believe, in the chat room pointed out. This is Dallas versus Houston, and you don't have a whole lot of options if you decide to go with Fuller and he's inactive. You're not playing anybody from Dallas, clearly. Now, there is a fantasy bonanza waiting, in my opinion, on that Monday night game.
All right.
So
That's pretty funny.
Crowder, Paul Richards. Well, am I lying? You're not playing any Dallas receiver.
You're playing Elliott, but yeah, I
No,
know.
that's what I meant, for receiver. You're not. It's not going to come down between. God, who do I flex out this week? Will Fuller, Ezekiel Elliott.
Who's in that mix for the Redskins? Crowder.
Crowder.
Not Richardson.
Doxson's in a walking boot.
Doxson sucks.
Okay. Paul Richardson?
No, you're not.
So it's Crowder.
Well,
because you're obviously playing Jordan Reed.
Look, if you're choosing between Richardson and an injured Will Fuller, your team already sucks, so you're okay.
There's a chance.
Like 70 wide receiver this week.
Okay, I get behind this. Maybe you can, if Will Fuller's inactive, you can play Adrian Peterson, who also is battling an ankle injury. But I'd be fine with that.
I would start Peterson over Fuller anyway.
Really?
Well, in general, so Peterson, is he questionable or is he okay?
They don't have probable anymore, but I would say he's much more closer to quote-unquote probable than questionable.
He's fine.
I would imagine so.
He's going to play. He's ranked 22 like that.
You like him better than Fuller this week?
Fuller is gets hurt in the game. Peterson's
all right.
He's like Rocky Six. You know what I mean? Like Rocky Balboa. He's going to his 8th sequel here. He'll be all right.
All right. This is actually pretty close.
Fine, you want to bet? I'll take Adrian Peterson over Will Fuller. I'll take him this week, and I'll take him with.
Hold on, now let's not get
the rest of the year.
I don't want to get crazy.
Fuller's going to miss 6 games.
In being a good sport with creating an entertaining podcast, this week I will take Will Fuller, and I'll give you this caveat.
Yeah.
Hold on. No, listen. This is good for you. If Will Fuller's inactive, I lose.
Well, for sure.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. So I will take Will Fuller more fantasy points in week 5 than Adrian Peterson. I got 5 on it.
I got 5 on it. I'll take AP.
I got 5 on it.
Oh, this is great. I am impressed with his name is Will Fuller the 5th. That's some good lineage.
The 5th?
Yeah, that's 5 here.
Oh,
Maybe Dodds has it wrong.
Well, who knows? I mean, they're usually pretty spot on with stuff like that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, once again, we're running low on time here, and I have not been paying attention to the chat room here. Aunt Jemima says Paul Richardson's going to have a good game. Let's, we got some emails about this. We got an email about that Washington passing game. Let's get into it. First email, Ron in Rocky Mount, North Carolina. Dear Eddie and Peter, with old paper ankle Fournette set to miss again this game, with old paper ankle Fournette set to miss again this week, I wanted to see if you guys could play a would you rather with his replacement, TJ Yeldon. Thank you for the email, Ron in Rocky Mount, North Carolina. We can play a would you rather with TJ Yeldon, and I think this could be a pretty compelling one, Dave. All right. Would you rather...
I'm sorry, I was getting Foo Fighter tickets from Ron Meyer in the chat.
I see. I told him I couldn't go to that concert. Now you're going with him?
Well, he said the extra ticket. I'll take it.
I know, because he expected me to go with him, and I can't get away. It's a Wednesday night.
I know, it's tough.
I can't do it. I'm putting together the RotoViz High Stakes Lowdown that night.
Well, as you know, I don't do anything.
That's a waiver night.
Yeah, I agree.
All right.
I'll tell you how the show is. I messed this all up.
I would have loved to go to that show.
You can still go.
All right. Well, we'll see.
Meyer will figure this out.
Meyer and I, Two-Packer and I watched the Brewers playoff game together earlier, and we are actually talking about this Foo Fighters concert. And I told him I wanted to go. I can't see a way that I can get away for that game or for that concert.
But now that I said I would go, now it's in the band.
It's just annoying that you get to go and I don't. It's
my mom said it was okay.
It has not. TJ Yeldon, would you rather? Now, TJ Yeldon is at Kansas City this week. Let's start on the low end of the spectrum here, Dave. Would you rather play TJ Yeldon or Marshawn Lynch at the Chargers?
Oh, Yeldon. I don't like Lynch.
Kareem Hunt or TJ Yeldon playing each other?
Yeah, so Hunt's at home against Jackson.
Yep. Yeah. By the way, I agree with you on I'd rather play Yeldon over Lynch.
I'm going to take, I know that Yeldon has, he's playing the worst defense. So annoying.
Yep.
Hunt is a much better player.
Yep.
I'll take
Jalen Ramsey taking away Tyreek Hill in that game, potentially.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to take Hunt, even though I know that I think Yeldon's got a good shot.
I would actually take Yeldon in that matchup, but you're very close. TJ Yeldon or Chris Thompson at the Saints under the lights on Monday Night Football.
Thompson doesn't get enough rushing attempts. I'm going to take Yeldon. I think it's a little safer.
I agree. TJ Yeldon or James Conner at home against the Falcons.
That game's got so many points. But, there could be a couple of pass interference penalties in the end zone.
Right.
I'll take Conner.
I would too. And this is interesting. I think I know where you're going to fall on this, and then we'll have to end it because I don't think there's compelling ones after this. TJ Yeldon or David Johnson at the Niners?
I'll take David Johnson.
I would too, and I
can't.
I thought this would be more fun than it was, and it really wasn't.
Well, hey, sorry, I'm not fun.
It has nothing to do with you. It's everything to do with the matchups. Okay, here's one. Here's one. TJ Yeldon or Joe Mixon at home against the Dolphins?
Mixon's been out for a while, but Gio is now out 2 to 4 weeks. I'm taking Mixon actually, and I feel pretty good about that. To be honest with you.
Okay, I'm going to take Yeldon. Here's why. Catherine,
I got 5 on that.
Catherine, I'll do that.
I'll take Mixon.
Okay, so do you want to hear my stat first or no? Are you?
No, let's bet and then hear the stat. That's
all right, okay.
Because then I might feel bad.
It's not really a stat; it's a quote. Right, but okay, so I got TJ Yeldon outscoring Joe Mixon in Week 5.
I'll take Mixon.
I got 5 on it. I'm gonna break this button tonight, Dave. It's insane. Catherine Terrell, the ESPN Bengals reporter, asked Marvin Lewis. She said, "Hey," I'm paraphrasing now. She said, "Hey, Joe Mixon back after 2 weeks after this scope that he had done. Yeah. Do you expect him to get as many touches as he was getting prior to this?" And Marvin Lewis said, "Well, he hasn't been with us the last 2 weeks. It's going to be difficult for his conditioning to be at where it was before he got hurt," which to me suggests maybe we get to see more Mark Walton this week, or maybe the focus is on Boyd and Green. I don't know. Sure. But here's what the takeaway from that is: I don't believe that Mixon is going to be out there as much as he had been the first 2 weeks of the season when he was crushing it.
Sure.
Now, that may not make a difference because Mixon might, even with the limited touches, he might take full advantage of that.
Sure.
You know, it's entirely possible. Anyway, that's the reason I have
I'm
that.
still okay with talking about it.
Okay, that's fine. TJ Yeldon or Matt Breida at home against the Cardinals.
Yeldon.
And this is the official last one. TJ Yeldon or Mark Ingram at home against the Redskins.
Oh, that's interesting. I'll take Yeldon because he doesn't have to split time.
I would too. Moving on, ladies and gentlemen.
Split time with the best running back in football, evidently.
Who?
Kamara.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Randy, Cross Lake, Minnesota. What are your thoughts on Kiki QT being a top 35 receiver the rest of the way behind Hopkins and Fuller in Houston?
Asked and answered.
Fellows.
This is like a court.
Asked and answered.
Asked and answered. We already talked
We're
about
having a Kavanaugh thing?
Yeah, asked and answered. Moving on.
All right, so you don't want to talk about being Kiki QT being a top 35 receiver the rest of the way?
I would say he's not top 35. Oh,
I
yeah?
would no. I think you're right on that because you're talking about the number 3 option in that offense being a top 35 receiver.
Time, yeah.
It could happen, but you know I don't know how likely that is. So I am with you on that.
Sure.
Top 45.
Yeah,
I think so too. I think he does it between top 35 and 45. I think that's where he ends up. The rest of the way from week 5 on. Rich in Buffalo, New York. Since Doxson is in a walking boot, could Crowder finally break out of his slump and have a big game on Monday against New Orleans? Thanks for the email. Rich in Buffalo. Nobody circles the Roygans like Rich in Buffalo, New York.
What was the question?
He thinks Jamison Crowder has the potential to break out on Monday night, and I think the reasoning here is Josh Doxson's in a walking boot, so obviously that takes away him. But that also takes Marshawn Lattimore, that puts his coverage on Paul Richardson. So maybe this opens up the passing routes for Jordan Reed, for Chris Thompson, and for Jamison Crowder, 3 guys who go underneath quite a bit in this offense. You like Jamison Crowder breaking out on Monday night. And Dave, and I'll say this before you answer that question. That is a game where I don't think either defense it needs to be feared by any stretch of the imagination. It is a total of 53, and the Saints are a 6-point favorite in that game.
I mean, the situation sets up perfectly for him, but I mean, he's just not that great of a player. That's just, I keep going back to the fact that he kind of sucks. He hasn't done much of anything, and so
had one really good season, came on the last month of last year.
Yes, I mean, like who breaks out like Rand? I mean, can he have a good game? Sure, he could have a good game. It's possible, but he's just not that good of a player. So he's like, you're not that good of a football player. I mean, how are you gonna? I guess you just have to have a lucky big scoring night or whatever. It can happen, sure.
Let me set the stage here for you. Let's say Jamison Crowder goes 10 catches for 90 yards and a touchdown. In your opinion, that performance would not be indicative of his future performance for the remainder of 2018.
I would agree with you there.
Okay, fair enough. I think that's what he was getting at. Frank in Philadelphia. Hey, Frank, thanks for the email. Hey, Dave and Balky. Originally, I was happy to get Devontae Freeman back in my lineup this week, but I am more than a little nervous that both Tevin Coleman and Ito Smith will eat into his workload. I don't know if that was a intended pun. Are any of these guys?
Ito Smith?
Yeah, maybe Ito Smith will be Itoing into his workload. Are any of these guys better than a flex option against Pittsburgh? Enjoy the games this weekend. Thank you for the email, Frank in Philadelphia. This is interesting because we already talked about this. It has a Big 12-like total of 58 in this game.
Woof.
Freeman, Tevin Coleman, Ito Smith. You feel comfortable starting any of those guys as your second running back this week?
I feel okay about Freeman.
But that's as far as you're going to go.
Yeah, I'd be a little nervous about Tevin Coleman, although I think he'll be okay. I actually think he'll score 10 to 14 PPR.
That seems about right to me. I think
Ito Smith, yeah, you can't really start him.
I don't know how you. I mean, if you have, and I said this on the show with Leo and Balky, which was just Balky today, from 2 to 3 on 95.3 and 99.1 score, AM 1570 as well. I said if you have Jordan Howard, Tariq Cohen, and Leonard Fournette on your team, and you're grasping, then yeah, maybe Ito Smith makes sense as your second flex. But my God, that's a lot of qualifiers, as you like to say there. And so I would stay away from Ito Smith. I have Devontae Freeman in a couple leagues. I am starting him in both. I have Tevin Coleman in a couple leagues. Right now, I have him in as my flex. Not sure how I feel about it yet. I'm going to revisit on Sunday morning and I may change it. I may not. I don't know.
Top quiz, Balky.
Okay.
What was the last name of the judge in the O.J. Simpson case?
Lance Ito.
Ito, that's right.
Yeah, I remember that. Wasn't I just talking to you about this the other day about that we were talking about our favorite Saturday Night Live eras, and I said my favorite was that early to mid '90s era when the O.J. Simpson trial was going on.
Oh, yeah.
The stuff that they did.
They were hitting that like out of the park.
Mike Myers as Judge Ito.
That's so funny. I should watch some of those.
David Spade as Kato Kalin. Tim Meadows as O.J. Simpson.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it was
good stuff.
Laura Keitlinger, I believe, played Marcia Clark, which was fantastic. I mean, God, it was just one after the Adam Sandler playing random bailiffs and what have you on that. So great. It was just amazing. Tim Meadows, who also played Al Cowlings.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Dan Jemima does say that I agree with him that the Kavanaugh SNL was decent with Matt Damon.
Yeah.
I'm a conservative.
Right.
As you probably know. I thought that was actually really fun.
The season premiere of Saturday Night Live was last Saturday, and the cold open was the Tim Kavanaugh testimony in front of the Senate.
Right.
What is it? I get Tim Meadows on the brain. Brett Kavanaugh. Who is Tim Kavanaugh? There's somebody named Tim Kavanaugh.
He might
Brett
be that
Kavanaugh.
guy in Fletch. I don't know.
This shows you how closely I've been paying attention to this.
Maybe it was a bad guy.
Put it on the Kavanaugh tab. So you had Brett Kavanaugh and Matt Damon. You know, for whatever reason, they've been getting these celebrities to play these politicians in the news. They got Matt Damon to play it. I thought it was very enjoyable, very, very cheeky, it was just a great way to start the season. So kudos to them. You can YouTube it if you haven't seen it. It's like 7 minutes long. It's worth a watch. Final email tonight. Pete in Louisville, Kentucky. He writes, "What's up, cheeseheads? Seems like everyone on the Packers offense is hurt right now. How do you handicap who Rodgers will be throwing to the most on Sunday?" Pete in Louisville. Thank you so much for the email. Dave, here's my quick and dirty on the Packers this week. Devontae Adams, I believe, was held out as a precaution because Geronimo Allison is probably not going to go because he's week to week with a concussion, and there's no way for the Packers training staff to control that. Everybody reacts to concussions different ways. I just believe that they are playing it safe with Devontae Adams. I believe he'll be out there this Sunday. Randall Cobb, already been ruled out. I don't believe Allison plays. And then you're limited to the three rookies in Equanimeous St. Brown, Marquez Valdes-Scantling, and Jamon Moore. They just signed Angelo Yancey to their practice squad. No word if they will activate him in time for the Sunday game. All three running backs are expected to be out there with Jamal Williams, Aaron Jones, and Ty Montgomery. And obviously Jimmy Graham will be out there as well. Who do you like this week from a Packers pass-catching standpoint if I not only throw the receivers in there, but the tight end as well as the running backs as they take on Detroit in the Motor City at 1 p.m. Eastern Time on Sunday? Total on that game is at 51. Packers open up as a 1-point favorite. It is down to a pick-em.
So who do I like other than Adams?
Packers skill position players. Well, do you like Adams? Because he'll be guarded, I would assume, by Darius Slay most of the game.
Yeah, I think Adams will be fine. I don't have a problem with him.
Okay.
I think he'll actually still be 70, 80 yards or whatever, maybe a touchdown.
I would not be starting Marquez Valdes-Scantling in any league unless Devontae Adams is inactive. Do you agree?
Yeah, I'm not. Although he's going to, a lot of times you get these guys who get their first starting jobs and they don't quite get there. And I so agree with that. I would not start him if I could avoid it.
Cannot sit Jimmy Graham in any FFPC leagues. I think he's going to see a ton of targets.
Yeah, I like Jimmy Graham a lot.
Okay. Moving on. My super sleeper of the week, Ty Montgomery, I think puts up double-digit points this week as a floor because I believe that Aaron Rodgers needs trusted targets out there. Ty Montgomery is one of them. And I think the way that you get Aaron Jones more involved in the running game while still getting Jamal Williams a healthy amount of snaps is you end up either splitting Ty Montgomery out wide or putting him in the slot, and he gets the ball in space. I bet he catches 6 or 7 passes this week easily.
It's interestingly enough, I don't know if I would say 6 or 7 easily. Footballguys projection of 3 for 27. I actually think that's pretty low. I would say like 5 for 40 is kind of where I would go. But I think
even so,
you're comfortable with high floor flexi type guys.
That is right on the fringe of 10 points, of double-digit points right there. And that we're not even talking about the potential to get in the end zone. So I really like Ty Montgomery this week. I do not like Jamon Moore. I do not like Equanimeous St. Brown. D'Angelo Yancey can be active. I am not playing him at all. So and that is, I think, how we fall in on the Packers pass catchers this week. You know what would be interesting, Dave?
Oh, yeah, what's that?
We should play a Would You Rather, a quick one, with Aaron Rodgers. this week.
Oh, boy.
The Detroit,
I
know. The Detroit, well, this will be the last thing. The Detroit rushing defense is the weakness of that team. They are no bueno when it comes to stopping opposing running backs. I think Aaron Jones has a big week this week. So, okay, that's fine. Then this will be a compelling, would you rather, Aaron Rodgers or Deshaun Watson? Well, I'm trying to pick out guys that you could have both of. Aaron Rodgers or Matt Ryan against the Steelers?
Ryan, for sure.
Aaron Rodgers or Drew Brees at home against the Redskins?
I'm going to take Brees, although it's a little bit close.
Aaron Rodgers or Jared Goff at Seattle?
I'll take Rodgers.
I would take Goff, I think.
Goff had such a huge game, but at Seattle is always tough.
Here's an interesting one. This might be the most fun one. Aaron Rodgers or Patrick Mahomes at home against the Jaguars?
God. I'm going to take Rodgers, though.
Okay. Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, that's tough, though, because Mahomes he really does have the weapons.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm taking Mahomes. Forget it. I'm taking Mahomes.
I would still take Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers or Matthew Stafford, who is playing Rodgers at home?
Stafford.
I would take Rodgers.
Especially, these are all kind of, they're very close to me.
I know. Aaron Rodgers, here's this. Okay. There's plenty more we could do. I'm gonna stop at this one because this is the most fun one. This is the most fun thing we're gonna talk about on the show.
Can I guess who it's gonna be?
Go ahead.
Bortles.
Yes. Blake Bortles at the Chiefs or Aaron Rodgers at Detroit.
That's a jackass.
Which one are you starting?
I'll take Rodgers.
Over the hapless Chiefs defense.
It's not that hapless. I cannot start.
Oh, it is without half.
It is at KC. Once in a while they actually put up a game. Then you go, okay. If the Chiefs win like 28-10, would you be all that surprised?
I'd be shocked if Blake Bortles throws less than 8 touchdown passes this game. I'd be just floored.
I would not be.
I told you it'd be fun, Dave, and I don't let you down. That is going to do it for our show tonight, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank Angelo, Lilas for dropping by and joining us tonight. I want to thank Dave Gerzak, the FFPC, our audio engineer, Bryce, and our producer and mutual friend, All right, so here it is. We have get your guys, choose your chums, pick your players, right? Okay? Here's the latest. Pile up your points.
Oh, God. What was the dude doing?
Draft your dudes. Draft your dudes. But listen, it all comes back to piling up the points, Dave. That's what you got to do right now.
Foo your fighters. Because I'm going to have to Foo fighters.
Yeah,
Thanks for that ticket, Mike. What's that, $100? Not bad. I'll go.
It's only $100?
I don't know what it is. If you want to go, go.
I'd like to go. I got so many responsibilities midweek.
Oh, man. What's you doing tonight?
Well, concert's in 2 weeks.
I thought it was Wednesday.
Yeah, it is Wednesday, but it's 2 weeks from now. It's the 17th.
I thought it was this Wednesday.
No, it's the 17th.
Well, what are we talking about?
All right, looks like I'm going.
I'm going to go. I'm still going.
Whatever. Have a great weekend, everybody. Good luck. Pile up those points.